right. Welcome back, everybody. 2023 is here. Voted with Magazine live stream series is also back. We enjoyed our break, but now we're ready to get back to business. And we've got a very special guest tonight with Dave Stevenson and myself, Mr. Lou Paris. Lou, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being on.
We're all a little rusty. I mean, I had a couple weeks, what was it, maybe 3 weeks, right, Dave? We haven't done a show or more. Who knows? It feels like
Yeah,
forever.
I think it's been two. I think it was right before the week before Christmas. I think so, like two or three.
Yeah, it was much needed.
It's the
So,
holidays. You got to have fun.
yeah, did you
Yeah,
guys get anything good for Christmas?
What
I got
I
the
got a
sweater.
actually all my stuff. I've got a couple records that I picked up for Christmas that Santa was very kind to give me.
Oh, that's cool. I went to my first concert in like 20 years. I went to go see an old band over here called Fish in New York City. And it's kind of funny. It's like right before COVID was the last time that I was in New York City. So it was surreal to go to New York. I mean, it's completely different. Not completely
Oh,
different, but like,
it's
the atmosphere is different.
very different. It's very different. COVID definitely did something very impactful to the city for sure.
Oh, yeah. And with, having these weeks off is like most of us, we take some time to think about, what are we going to do for 2023? And a lot of that stems into, you know, improving our business, right? At least for hope for most of us out there, that's one of the things that came across our minds. And that's whether it's getting new equipment, updating equipment, cleaning equipment, getting training materials, working on your
Going to
system,
expos.
and yeah, getting ready to attend expos, right? Um, and business plans, marketing, and that's kind of why we've got you on here tonight, Lou, is because you're really on the forefront of technology, and technology kind of drives a lot of those things. Um, and I think that a lot of people out there, including myself, is trying to one of the resolutions was to try to think about how I can do better marketing. And you've got that whole piece of a business plan is marketing, but even
Yep.
further is to what avenues of marketing. So I thought, I saw a post that you put up recently talking about Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and that there's different purposes and uses for each one of those different channels for marketing. So I thought, what better? Let's get Lou on here because he's on the forefront of this stuff. Let's talk about it. So, what are your thoughts, Lou?
So, as I put in my post, first I wonder what 2023 brings because there's been so many different things happening with all the social media channels as a whole. Instagram over the past year has turned more video centric and also has turned away from the more friend type interactions. So, acquaintances, businesses that you friended, and now it's going more towards creators. So it's following the TikTok model and it's following a little bit more of the grander YouTube model as well. So I'm curious, coming into 2023, how effective things would be. Because, in the past, just rewind 1 year ago, Instagram was really good as a combination of a business to business type reminder. So as you
Mhm.
produce content, as a photographer produces content, reminding yourself to tag those people that you worked with over the years so they have it fresh in their mind. Oh yeah, such and such business. I remember they just posted about this. So if they run into a client, hey, that could be a new lead for you and a well qualified lead at that since you worked with them in the past. I'm curious if that still continues. I hope it does because I think it's been a decent resource. Definitely some people have really gone gangbusters. Rachel Lynch has absolutely gone gangbusters in the Instagram side. That's where the majority of her business originates from. But then now you have Twitter. That's kind of out in the stratosphere now. Who knows what happens? Does it exist by the end of 2023, or is it wholesale change?
Yeah,
With its
I deleted that.
purpose.
I deleted Twitter from my. I go on there and it's like it's
It's
no.
off my phone. I've kept my accounts because you just never know. And I would always stress for people, especially for businesses, even if you're never going to use the platform, make sure you at least have your brand there, even if it never gets used. So that way, one, nobody scoops up the brand,
Mhm.
by whether accident or on purpose. And then if they ever change or go some different direction and becomes more useful for you, that you already have that property for you, and you can just start leveraging as it is. There's newer ones, Vero, Vero, if I'm not mistaken. They're an
Mhm.
Instagram competitor.
Yeah.
That's one that I think everybody should at least go claim an account, so that way you have your brand there. And if it does continue, if Instagram really keeps on down this video path, and more brands and companies and whatnot start getting kind of tired of what Instagram is doing, that might be the next logical path. So always try to think, 1 or 2 steps ahead. It might only be a year, 2 years down the road where you might be completely switching platforms on that. Facebook, that's always been kind of a catch-22. I've always thought of Facebook not doing too much in the business side, although I have heard some people be very successful with it. But I think for general people, it's still just a flat out communications platform, as opposed to like really like engaging leads and bringing them into your brand. I mean, it does happen from time to time, but I think, at least personally, and again, these are always going to be my own personal thoughts, and they don't have years of data of other companies backing it and whatnot. But the money that I've spent over Facebook for ads over the years have always been almost nothing to zero. And
Yeah.
I don't think that changes much as 2020. TikTok has definitely been an interesting thing. There's definitely a couple people now who are going gangbusters on, getting that viewership and all that. But I think that's kind of a long play kind of thing. If you're in maybe the bar scene, the club scene, I think you might be able to get more traction out of that, because that's a
Mhm.
much more broader audience and all that. But if you're in the wedding scene, maybe I'm seeing more wedding content starting to be produced both by photographers and DJs on the platform. I'm curious if it produces results.
I
And I
think,
always say experiment. Don't be afraid to experiment,
yeah.
but it might not produce results
I
right
will
away.
I will say that I'm getting a lot of play off of some of my TikTok posts and things that
Yeah.
I'm seeing followers that pop up, because I guess the more content you have, the more you'll show up in
Right.
other people's for you
Yep.
uh, side. So I think it's good to have as much content as you can get pump out into that, because the
Mhm.
more that you have, the algorithms, I believe, will probably get you out in front of more people. So you don't have to
Absolutely.
necessarily buy ads. You can, if you're just pumping out content and people are noticing it, that should help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And from a DJ perspective, it is very friendly, where you're typically not going to get hit by a copyright strike and all that if you go live and whatnot. If you're putting an actual like 3 minute mix, 2 minute mix on it, typically, again, you're not going to get hit. That's not to say that record labels won't go after them someday. Like if something like really starts to become disagreeable with them, they could go after them. And of course, there's all that rumbling right now of the Fed, striking it from any federal device. Will
Yeah.
they outright ban it in the U.S.? I doubt it. That's a really far stretch. Not impossible, but I don't think it happens. But there might be, and let's face it, also Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, they all have a TikTok like equivalent now, with shorts, with
Yep.
reels, and just the nature of TikTok itself. That it's going to be an interesting space. I say spread the content kind of broadly. I think TikTok becomes the broadest audience. They might not necessarily be your customer right now, but they could be in 5 years. It's
Mhm.
definitely a Gen Alpha type platform, but there's plenty of Gen Xers and Gen Zers and millennials that are on it, and they could be a decent play. If anything, just exposure. I wouldn't necessarily say lead conversion, but exposure, sure. It definitely has the best chops out there right now. YouTube's still out there. I think growing an audience in YouTube is definitely a little bit more of a challenge than it was
Yeah.
5, 10 years ago. Um, the platform has definitely sunk a little bit in just general overall audience. TikTok has stolen a bit of their thunder just from day to day consumption and all that.
Growing an audience.
But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of potential that I think everybody should experiment with, but recognize the audience. Instagram might be the most direct audience. Facebook might be more conversational. TikTok might be more just broad exposure. Um, Hell, maybe we'll go back to MySpace one of these days. Who knows?
I loved MySpace. And MySpace
It
was
was a good
awesome.
thing.
We
I curated my top 8 spaces quite well on that.
dude, we need to go to change.org and petition get MySpace back.
It's still
There's people right now.
it's still
What's
alive.
MySpace?
Dude, MySpace, if you think about it, was the most way to target your audience. And Jordan St. Jacques was on here and he talked about how back in the heyday when my MySpace was in its heyday, that he was killing it with doing club promoting because you could
Oh yeah.
target a
Oh yeah.
specific college and it was kind of open. It's like, hey, I want the college, the groups of these that go to this college. I want to target them, and boom, you could target them, and it was great. But privacy has
Yeah.
killed that.
Well, that's just it. The two best platforms back in the day would have been MySpace and also Google Plus. Google Plus was surprisingly, again, a very targeted type thing. There are
Mhm.
circles, which was more democratized, not algorithmic driven type content. So it was basically you see what you get. It's in order, like old school forums and whatnot. And they were pretty direct, but of course, they're not going to come back from the dead. And if they are, then I think we have problems.
I need a defibrillator for MySpace. But so what you're saying, Lou, and I think I agree with you, is that what we're seeing is the Facebook, the Instagram, and obviously YouTube because it's video centric, and
Mhm.
the TikTok. That more and more video itself is becoming so much more of a powerful tool, whether it's on any of these platforms, because it's real, right?
Yeah,
It's you're getting to see the
absolutely.
entertainer, um, but also that it's a branding play, but it's kind of like playing roulette, right? So you kind of need
More or
to
less.
spread your chips out on all these platforms as best as you can and hope that one of these posts or a combination of posts is going to strike a chord with somebody who's looking at for somebody at that right time.
Right. It is a crapshoot. I did just a couple weeks ago. I did pick up a lead. They were initially had gone through Instagram to find a photographer that I'm really, really, one of my top 2 photographers that I recommend. Got to them, and then immediately they went over to me.
Mm.
So again, that's one of the reasons why, especially with Instagram, I think is the most powerful. That is continuing those business relationships, because even if it's not your Instagram post that's out there or your TikTok that's out there,
Right.
if it's somebody that work closely with and highly recommend and all that, and vice versa, that's where I think a lot of the ancillary stuff can really start to build up and all that. So always play it as, it might not necessarily be a direct play, a direct lead,
Hmm.
but continuing that content as a whole just keeps your brand in front of people and all. And that's
Yeah.
probably one of the most important pieces.
I think that's and there's so many different like little things you got to look at when it comes to social media marketing, and you hit the nail on the head. I believe with the other vendors, the photographers, the venues, or from a photo booth perspective, another DJ or DJ in a photo booth. Today is a perfect example. I got a call today, and I picked it up, and at the end of the conversation, it came down to she wanted to book me because I knew the venue and was familiar with the venue that she had been at, and she saw something that I had done
Yep.
online. Like I have a blog post and a video, and that was it. Sold it, sealed the deal. It wasn't
Yep.
Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, but still, the overall theme is it was that familiarity with something that she already had in play that helped
Yep.
me seal the deal. And you can do that through Instagram, right? By tagging and following.
Or all of them. There is some content that you could produce that goes across all, especially now with video and the way between TikTok Shorts, Facebook Reels, and Instagram Reels as well. That content can be generally repurposed if you
Mhm.
create the content in such a way that works on all platforms. For TikTok, for instance, one of my most viral posts so far was actually talking about tech. Had nothing to do with me being a DJ or anything, but I've already gotten like 1.2 million views and something like 80,000 comments or something on a Pixel phone versus an iPhone, and we were just plainly
Interesting.
talking tech. But that introduces them as like, oh, lose a DJ, oh, lose this, and then it just continues that cycle of things. So
Mhm.
there's And actually, Rachel brought this up again a couple years ago, one of the expos, I think it was DJ Expo, where she had her two brands. She has her, of course, her personal identity that she posts on Facebook
Yeah.
and Instagram, and then she had a business identity. And then she crossed the streams one day by complete accident. And that crossing the stream just elevated that post, like it went tenfold what she expected. So one thing as always, I always say don't post political stuff and other super controversial stuff, because that can always hurt the brand as a whole, even as you as an individual, because you still always represent your brand. But also don't be afraid to necessarily cross the streams, like something that's not your wheelhouse necessarily. Like it's not my DJ content, but hey, I'm talking tech, and next thing you know, 1.2 million people are looking at my content. So it's just a diet of interesting content is always just going to play to some degree to something.
So just interesting content. So whether you're a DJ, whether you're a photo booth videographer,
Yep.
it doesn't always have to be about your business. You're
Nope.
putting your, because a lot of people hire on personality, right? And then there's
Yes.
people who don't care who the hell's behind the DJ booth or the photo booth, but
Oh
a
yeah.
personality does matter. And if you're establishing yourself some sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for, approachable personality, then that can help.
Absolutely. Yeah, and though I think that really kind of comes off in any type of just regular content, but especially the personal content. If you come out as a genuine person, even if you have a hot take on a certain thing, if you approach it in a certain way that still is friendly, inviting, and even if it's somewhat controversial, doesn't pit people against each other or tries to cause a controversy or something. I think that there's a couple people out there that do that. That's their shtick and
Oh,
all that.
yeah.
But I think from the general perspective is you being approachable, you being your genuine self. That's just going to come out in all the content you do. And if you put that fake persona, if you try to stiffen up and create like business content, blah blah blah, it's not going to be enjoyable to watch. So it's not going to get that circulation, and it's just not going to get the potential traction that you hope. If you can be more genuine, if you can talk as an expert in a particular field or something big passion that you have, that's what becomes interesting. And I'm lucky with me. I can talk music. I can talk photo. I used to be a photographer for a while, so I could talk on that that
Yep.
side. I could talk on tech. It just keeps the conversations going.
Dave, what are your thoughts? TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, where's it? I mean,
So Lou, I wanted to ask you
Mhm.
because I know this has been around for a while, and I'm kind of starting to see a surge again in Snapchat. What's your thoughts on that?
It's interesting. So definitely a much more millennial and Gen Alpha type
yep.
platform. You don't see too many Gen Xers and all that. It's weird because they've had a couple resurgences and then a couple kind of went back down. And it's funny. I
Right.
actually know the CEO of the company actually used to be the CFO of a company I used to work with, so I'm actually very familiar with the whole thing. But it's I think it's a good play. I'm curious what the content angle is on it, though. It might be more really truly personal side because I think that's where Snap really kind of falls into play. I think if it's too business like,
Yeah.
it falls off. Just like especially with TikTok, if you come off as too
You're,
businessy on TikTok,
you're done.
nobody's going to watch that content. It
Yeah.
has to have a fun edge. It has to be a meme, almost a meme in some cases, and that those can be very successful content. The ads that I get shown on my for you page definitely has a fun element to it. It definitely has, okay, yeah, that's talking about the product, but it's not a super focus. It's brand awareness. And I
Hmm.
think if you approach it from that angle, it's good. If you try to get too businessy, forget about it.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Snapchat. So over the break, my family gets together on Christmas Eve, and I've got a niece and a nephew. They're both in that age. They're both in college, and we were talking about a few things. And one of the things I'm going to bring up here shortly was I asked them a question of all the different social media platforms that are out there. What do you guys use the most? And they said this, this, this. I said no, no. Go to your phone and show me which app is being used the most. They're like Snapchat, Snapchat,
Yeah.
Snapchat. And I
Yep.
said, well, why do you use Snapchat? Well, because it's good. We have all of our private chats on there. We do our group meets through chat. So that's actually their text messenger. Like
Yeah.
that's their instant messenger. That's their whatever. That's how they're communicating now. Is mostly through Snapchat. And that's that age group, the college kids now.
Yeah.
That will probably continue as they get older. I imagine to still some extent. So when they're going to get married, they're still going to kind of be using it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I'm curious if Snap is going to continue though. And the reason I say that is a lot of your youngest, like I have a 16-year-old and almost
Hmm.
15-year-old, don't use Snapchat at all. They're
Really,
completely antiquated. That's a millennial platform.
what are they using? Just TikTok?
Yeah, so TikTok is probably the biggest one by far.
Okay.
My daughter definitely is the biggest consumer on that side. And of course, you can private message in there and all that, so you still get some of
Okay.
that. I think Snapchat definitely has that more group mentality. Almost
Yeah.
want to say it's like a WeChat. A lot of those group chat type platforms. I think that's where that interpersonal communication, as opposed to like a true social platform. I think it's more
Mhm.
interpersonal communication, but it keeps on coming and going. It went south for a while, then popped back up. So
Yeah.
it's
Who knows?
yeah,
They're
it's
they're
gonna be
driving the
interesting. It's
future.
always interesting to see.
They're driving the future just like we drove the future when we were their age. I mean, we really. I mean, and it's going to be the endless cycle, endless cycle.
I,
Um,
I, and just on interesting content, another one of the bits that actually got a lot of views on my TikTok was some I guess they were a younger millennial. They were like complaining about like Gen Xers being like antiquated and all this other stuff. It's like we invented this, we started this and we already infiltrated the
that's a good
platform.
point.
So it's like, we're here. We're not going anywhere.
No, no. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't adopt, but people like
Oh, sure.
us, and I'd say
Yeah.
most of the DJs and photo booths out there were early adopters on on
Yeah.
a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of things.
I've, s- I've seen a lot of 360 type content on for either promotion or even just, oh, hey, just look at me kind of stuff.
Hmm.
A lot of content on that on
Yeah, Dave
TikTok.
had one. Dave, that's you've been doing some 360 TikToks.
Yes. Yep. And they've been I've been getting a lot of feedback, and actually I've gotten a couple calls and emails with stuff. So
That's good.
it's working. You know.
And that's probably like the best kind of content because you don't have to do much editing or anything. It's all there. It's the exact thing that's coming out as opposed to, oh, for a photographer, yeah, you got to put a slideshow together. You have to
Yeah,
do some type of pizzazz around it where here's the material. Here's exactly what you get. I think it becomes an easier sell for something like the 360 side.
yeah. That's one of
Right.
my resolutions is to figure out TikTok this year. Not figure it out, but like finally start for me how to use it. I don't. I've been using it for the gym, right? So
Yeah.
I did the lights and got rid of all the junk that was on there. And every morning I wake up and it makes me want to go to the gym. That's what I'm
Yeah.
using it for right now. So
And that's the beauty of TikTok. Every
mhm.
TikTok, there's niches everywhere. There's music talk, there's politics talk, there's hair talk. There's all these micro communities within it, and it's ripe for it.
It's crazy. So we talked about staying on the forefront, which
Mhm.
is very important. Trying to stay
Oh, yeah.
ahead of technology and what's coming out next. And I think this next topic is going to change. It's. I look back in time. If you look back in history and technological advances, the automobile, the freaking the light bulb, the telephone, the automobile, or as we call the car, the computer, right? I think AI has been kind of sitting out there. I think we just are going to see this year is going to be that little line on a calendar that says this is the year that AI really took off, right? Let's talk about that for a second.
Absolutely. So yeah, and this has been a long time coming because there's been a lot of everybody from Google to federal space, private space. People have been working on different generations of AI. What we see out there now, Chat GPT, which was the biggest thing to come out the past like about 30, 60 days. This is essentially third generation AI. At least that particular platform is their third generation,
Yeah, I'm going to
and they're
grab it while you
already
talk about it here. Let me just
yeah,
go to.
and they're already working on the fourth generation oh man, will probably be out. I think it's like within 12 to 18 months.
Lou, what
And
is
the
Chat GPT? What is it?
Sure. So ChatGPT is a natural language engine, and essentially you essentially type in anything you want, how to code something in some language and produce this result. Put me together an email campaign, put together a welcome email, a business plan, and the beauty of this is there's no templates or anything in the background. This is everything that the system has learned on its own and is producing, and it's constantly evolving its output. So
Mm-hmm.
each time that people are putting in these things and refining it, it's learning from that. So it continuously gets better. Like it literally had, and they measured it, it actually had an evolution in the way that it was producing it was Python for the programming language, and it became 20% more efficient inside of like a week,
Mm-hmm.
just because of the way people are like, hey, produce this, no, go ahead and remove these lines, no, do this, and it learned from it because it's like, oh, people want more efficient, so it learned on its own to be able to do that.
Let's show a lot of that, Lou. This is why I love you. You use the word Python. I know what that is. Most of the people out there are thinking, is there a snake coming?
Yes.
let's right. So
Wait, I
let's.
thought you were talking about this.
Oh, guns. These are called guns, not
Oh,
pythons.
never mind.
Actually, mine's kind of flabby. Let's give the folks a look. So
Yep.
this is essentially you can type in a question and it'll start doing the work for you. So a lot of
Yep.
people who want to create a blog post or an email or a subject for a social media post, if you're doing Facebook or what have you, and you're stuck
Yep.
for ideas on how to start this actually does the work for you, I think 75 to 85% of it, and then you tweak it and that
Yep.
gets you to the 100%. So let's
Yep.
show everybody how this works. Let's come up with something that's relative to the photo booth or DJ industry. Um,
Create a welcome email for somebody inquiring about photo booth services.
okay, so create a welcome email um, to somebody.
For someone, for you can do pure language for someone inquiring about photo booth services, as
Uh,
natural language as it gets. And if it
photo.
doesn't understand it, it will tell you that it doesn't understand and needs refinement.
All right, let's see if I spelled that right. Create a welcome email for someone inquiring about photo booth services.
Yep.
I'm going to hit enter and it's thinking subject. Welcome. It's giving your subject line. Now this
Yep.
is going to be
It
perfect.
does.
Let's just see what happens. I'm going to go full screen. All right.
Now, note as it's making this, it is literally, again, not looking at templates or anything. It's taking everything that it knows and attempting to produce this. You can even go so far as I had it right, like, tell me about rejecting something, but in the style of Trump, and literally like put his little mannerisms within it. So it understands so much of the human vernacular and the idiosyncrasies and all that. It's just crazy. Now, as you see, this might be slightly wordy on it, but
Yeah.
for people with writer's block, with people who are just coming into the industry, I mean, how long did that take? 12 seconds? 13
Yeah.
seconds?
Yeah. About 15 seconds. It gave you what we use in my industry, a boilerplate, right? It
Yep.
gave you a template to start with. Then you
Yep.
take that, and if it's perfect, you just copy and paste it, right? But
Yep.
obviously, there's some parts to it says your name, company name, so you got to, you're not going to send it to somebody your name and company
Uh,
name in the signature.
Yeah,
Um,
well,
and
you
state
can
of the
refine it
art.
from here. You could tell us, say, take this,
Oh, yeah.
refine this to replace company name with my business name. So yeah, you can start telling it to do refinement or have different pieces, and it will attempt to do that.
Replace company name with Paris Creative.
Yep.
Welcome to Paris Creative Photo Booth Services. Look at that.
Yeah, it's again, it's going to, you know, it
It's
again, there a lot of people be it a blog post, an email drip campaign. A lot of people just don't have a good place to start. And while, yeah, there's a few templates that are out there and all that, it's almost never quite what they need. And for something like this, you can continuously, again, you can keep on refining. You can tell it to say one of our photo booth packages start at 1,000 or something, whatever it happens to be, and it'll constantly interject that, and again, interject it with some type of natural language behind it, so it does not seem like it's robotic and all that.
Look at that. Best regards, your name, Paris
Yep.
Creative. Done. Um, I use this uh,
Yep.
personally for my business. Let's see, about a week or so ago, and Dave, you used it too. I went in here and I was like, let me
Mm-hmm.
just test this out. I want to have a blog on my website that talks about, because I have DJ and photo booth services. I wanted to tell me to write a blog post about why you should choose a company that does both DJ and photo booth services for an event versus hiring one company for this and one company for that. And it literally spat this out. I made like 2 or 3 edits, and within like, I would say, a minute and a half, I had this blog post. This is my picture. We're going to talk about pictures in a second, and all I did was copy it, paste it into my blog, added a couple of the words here, personalized a little bit, made sure I added some bullet points. You want to pretty it up. You don't just want to copy and paste the whole thing. And there, I've got myself a blog post. So if somebody comes to my site and they're not sure if they whether want to hire a DJ or photo booth company separately or together, hopefully this helps them. But it at least gives me
Yeah.
some content for SEO. Dave, you did
And
something
that's the
pretty
biggest
cool.
thing. SEO, social media, it is not only quality, because naturally you want to put out good quality, but it's also repetition of being out there. If you fall out too long, it will now take you a while before that starts rebuilding back out and potentially going in front of people that you might not have been in front of otherwise. So it's just as important to constantly think this. And I know a bunch of people have essentially a social media calendar, a social media diet, however you want to approach it. But it's like, at least once, twice, 3 times a week producing content for at least all the channels that you're on, even if it's the most minimal thing. Again, just getting your brand out there, getting yourself out there, and something like this can absolutely help in that regard.
Yeah, and some people are going to say this is going to take away jobs. I don't think it's going to take away jobs. It's going to shift what people do for a living. I mean,
Um,
it's going to take
Another one
away
of
some jobs. It will.
yeah, another one of my hot takes, and I don't know, we had a couple discussions on this prior. There, if you, and I'm not going to mince words, if you're a mediocre employee, business operator, whatnot, if you don't have your niche, really kind of locked in, if you don't have that passion and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
inside of 3 to 5 years, yeah, your job is going to be replaced. It's as simple as that. I wish I could sugarcoat it and all that, but imagine the power of something like a Chat GPT engine. Strap it onto a camera in front of a crowd so it can measure how many people are coming out to the floor and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and then add to that an entire library of known music like Spotify.
Yeah,
Spotify is not just about music collection, it's about big data. It's
it
about
is.
understanding all the metrics of all the music that's ever played on it. You literally could wipe away the entire low end and even a good chunk of the middle tier of a business if you don't get on your P's and Q's and all that. So I absolutely do believe that we're going to come into a monumental shift in employment. And it's not just DJing, it's not just photography, it is across the board type businesses, because automation is going to drastically change stuff. So
Yeah.
start using automation to your advantage. Start to really, build up your passion for what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, so you can be above that fray. So
Yeah.
that way you do, survive. And remember to pivot. I've pivoted so many times in my IT career because I saw the writing on the wall and I knew that, 2, 3 years down the road, my stuff would be in jeopardy. Okay, time to switch up and gear up. So keep on adding services. Me as Paris Creative, I've added the creative element. I'm really now pushing, hey, I can do, menu design and monogram design and having this continuity within an event. Find your angles and really, help build that as part of your brand and, a reason for you to exist in the industry.
Yeah. So it's true. Pivot, right, Dave? Like just
Yep.
pivoting. um, being on the forefront of technology, not being stagnant,
Yep.
not being
Well,
afraid to try things.
the other thing is, if you're not sure, using the AI can help you learn,
Yep.
you know, some things that you may not have thought of in your writings.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
it may throw out some different perspectives on your product that you're offering, and how to market it to people.
Well,
Absolutely.
I did a business plan for that I posted for Photo Booth magazine, and that was primarily driven initially by Chat GPT. I had it write it out, and then I went line by line and made sure that it made sense, and I agreed with each line. So that gave me a boilerplate for a business plan, which I provided to everybody. All you have to do is go to photoboothmagazine.com, submit their
Yep.
email on that page, and they're going to get the copy of that, and I'll send a link in that at some point. But it's beautiful. And then I actually was looking at that business plan. I'm thinking, man, me personally, I don't do that. This is what I'm going to work on this year. So it was personal inspiration writing something for everybody else that I wasn't even doing. I'm like, yeah,
Every business, every 1 to 2 years should, if they don't have a business plan, write a business plan and then revisit it,
right.
because everything changes no matter what. If you don't see the writing on the wall where certain things and trends are going and all that, you could easily see yourself in 3 5 years going, what happened to all my leads? What happened to all this? You didn't see the shift in certain social media aspects. You didn't see the shift on the type of content that you should be putting out there,
Yeah.
especially things like blog posts and all that. If you fall behind, it's much harder to stay ahead and keep up, as opposed to trying to make up ground, especially if you start slipping 1 2 3 years behind.
Yeah, it's amazing watching, like, because we talked about Facebook. It's like you kind of have to be on there. But I'm looking at Facebook and I'm just watching what people drive their attention to. Your priorities are just totally way off. Like,
Oh yeah. So
you can give
it,
somebody advice about their business and they don't care, but you show them a
no,
shiny object of a piece of equipment, they're like all over it. It's like,
absolutely.
people, before you go out and buy all the equipment, get your business plan together.
Yeah. All my DJ content that I've made
Hmm.
on my YouTube channel and all that, all but one of my what I call business, and I call this like my gold nugget stuff. Like this is like the stuff that people really should know. Social media, running, starting up in the business and all that is my lowest watch content. My
Hmm.
highest watch content, my Rain One review, virtual DJ review, the Prime review, phase. And again, nothing
Hmm.
wrong with shiny new fun objects. I mean, I love my gear just as much as everybody else, but people are too attached on that and not thinking of fundamentals.
Right.
And I think it speaks, and again, it's not just DJs. You see this across the board: photography, photo booths, and all
Everything.
that. People are less concerned about the fundamentals because they are not business people as a whole. They have a passion or niche for, I love playing music, or I want to provide this particular service, but they don't think of the business fundamentals behind it. They
Hmm.
don't think of, I don't know how many times people are like, oh, what's your overhead on your business? I don't know.
I don't know.
I charge X amount of dollars, and it could be way off of what the rest of everybody is, because they're just not following what the heck's going on. They're either leaving money on the table, or they're devaluing the industry, those parts of the industry in certain ways, just because they're not that business savvy type of person.
Yeah. No, agreed. One other thing that I want to talk about is the imagery, right? So it's not
Oh,
AI, Chat GPT. It's not just text, it's imagery too. Let's show this real quick. So um, this is called Dall-E. There's a few different versions out there. What other versions do we have? We have Dall-E.
Dall-E by far is the most popular of it.
Right.
There was Picasso I or something like that. Picasso
Hmm.
E was another one. Google's working on one, but that's private right now. So there's a few that's out there, but Dall-E by far is the most
Yeah.
popular.
And go over what is Dall-E. It's like the Chat GPT of imagery, right?
Of image processing. So it has within its library countless. I mean, we're literally talking.
Billions.
I think it's like a petabyte or more worth of not just images, but how those images are constructed. It takes a look at how Picasso drew lines and painted and all that. So it has not just this image base, but how they're constructed. Because you can say, give me a chihuahua on the moon in the style of Salvador Dali or something like that, and
Yeah,
it will produce it, or at least produce something relatively close. And
People are using those to create NFTs.
that's
oh
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
business. It's all business. And
Yeah.
I'm going to show you some examples here. But you're right, Dave. I mean, people. This is NFTs were hot, and nobody knew where they were getting these images from. It was these AI generators.
yep. It's all
Right.
the AI generators. And frankly, just this is a sidebar. And as me as a technical person and being almost 30 years in the business, NFTs are as much of a scam as you can kind of get and still be quote unquote legitimate right now.
That's
I
crazy.
cannot, to the life of me, I cannot find an intrinsic value of an NFT
No.
because you can essentially create it. Yeah, it might be serialized and it might be unique, but people already brought the uniqueness out of it too. So that non-fungible part of NFT and the NF is not even worth its weight in gold. So it's crazy. I will put a prediction out there that NFTs are probably not even talked about in 2024 and beyond.
Yeah,
They're just they're
because the
hot
videos, you
garbage.
can just go to YouTube and watch whatever clip it was of whatever sporting event that's
Absolutely.
an NFT.
Yep.
But
It's
hey, they
crazy.
tried, right?
Yeah.
Um,
It was
but this
interesting.
is really cool. I actually
It was rooted
experimented
in
with
good
it.
purpose.
Yeah, I experimented with this, and I did a post for, again, for Photo Booth magazine, and I was like, I need something really cool, and I wanted to combine a photo booth and a toilet. I was like, this has got to catch somebody's eyes, and so it came up with these things, right? There's no other image out there like this. It literally
Yeah.
created because I typed in
Insane.
that.
Well,
I took
first
a
the
picture.
insanity of even putting those two things together. And then
Well,
being able to have something within seconds or maybe a couple of minutes tops of being produced for that.
I had to go to the bathroom at the time. I was like, quick, I get it. All right, photo booth, get it done. But the other thing was, I took a picture. You can actually take your existing photos and have things done. So last year at PBX, I was on stage running around with the Danny Max, the Max Design,
Yep.
uh, yeah, the Roamer. And so this is like one of the original pictures is right here. All right, and I said, give me a bear, right? And it produced a bear in the crowd, right? And I kept expanding on it, and eventually, this is probably my favorite one here. And this happened in like 10 seconds. I said, all right, do this. And bear, I don't know why I put ocean there, but this is what it gave me in 10 seconds. It put two bears sitting next to each other. I did one that's like, give me a DJ on a piano. All right, and these are the only versions out there. So these are good. So if you're
Yep.
stuck for an image for social media, like for your Facebook post or your Google Business Profile posts, which are kind of
Absolutely.
important, go here. If you don't have an
Yep.
image, you can create some really cool stuff. Um,
One of the most difficult things in both the social media side and even like blog posts is capturing that first second of an attention to be like, I want to click on this.
yeah,
Not even so much clickbait, but more so just an attention grabber.
that's
And
it.
you can't get more unique than something like that, where a photo booth on, toilet photo booth, or I
Right.
mean, it's just like what the it
You
pauses
can't
them
help it.
and you get their attention.
Yeah.
It's and yeah, as you started to briefly mention here in the chat, this is both between Chat GPT, between any of the image processors. There's a
Hmm.
few other pieces that are out here that are more programmatic side and all that. This truly is going to be an
Yeah.
era where, as you mentioned, we had the internet era. We are now in what some people call Web 3.0, but this
Yeah.
is where AI really begins to put a foothold and starts to change things. It's the era of automation.
Yeah. And I made one for Rachel Lynch since we mentioned her. Pizza in a tree. All right, Rachel, this one's for you. I got a few different versions. I'll have this NFT up soon enough if you want to buy it. Just kidding.
See, you got to make money off of it. Got to make money
Dude,
off of
Rachel,
it.
you're gonna buy this totally. Look at that one. It's even wrapped. I don't know what that is. That might be the napkin. Anyway, So
I
yeah,
tell you.
so folks out there, there's technology. We've talked about social media, um, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Video is probably the way that you should be looking at things. Original content, genuine content. Stock
Yep.
photography is out. It is just out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's done.
Except for in the fringes. There's still some
Yeah.
purpose and all that for it, but for the type of content that we need to generate just to get out there. And let's
Uh-huh.
face it, me as a DJ, I've got one of my cameras behind me. I try to shoot as much video as possible at every event that I do and all that, but it takes time and it takes all this. Oh, I just thought of a blog post. Oh, hey, I can go to Dall-E, go get a quick, like, really interesting image to throw in there. Heck, I got some writer's block. Let me throw the Chat GPT, get a couple, paragraphs out of it. Now I've just reduced my time
Uh-huh.
considerably to get that content out there. And that's usually like the biggest barrier for people to get that content
Yeah.
is the time. The time factor, it is intensive. It is almost feels counterproductive, but the reality is, especially when you start using tools like this and really start kind of churning this as kind of a steady diet of things that you want your people to see, it just becomes a no-brainer.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, Lou, it's been amazing to have you on, and I want to make sure that people know a little bit more about you and what you're doing. So obviously, everybody, you can see at the bottom of the screen here, there's a box that says Q. This has been like your baby for what? How long, Q? Right? How long now?
Yeah, so originally Equity, when it started, I originally started the idea in 2015.
Hmm.
Finally, after some good fortune in 2020 and about a year of programming, we finally got launched in 2021. And last year, we did run into a small speed bump where my two core developers found great jobs. So we just rebuilt the team. And actually, I was hoping tonight, but it'll probably be tomorrow, we'll have some new features actually already added to
Oh,
it and more ahead for 2023. So.
so this is it. This is the platform here. I have a subscription to it. I have been waiting for some pushes to get through, but I've been giving you some feedback on it, and I can't wait. I can't wait to start diving. This is actually one of my resolutions this year is to jump all of my planning. So this is what is this? This is eventually tell everybody what this is.
It's you think of a CRM, but a CRM on steroids. So this is
Hmm.
a combination of something a bit actually different. So you have your other competitors out there, and I'm not afraid to mention their names: DJ Event Planner, Gig
Hmm.
Builder, Honeybook, 17 Hats. All fine CRMs. But the reality is, the majority of them are actually not focused on our type of business. Even something like a DJ Event Planner is a little bit still generalist as a DJ platform.
Hmm.
It doesn't necessarily address the actual pain points that we face as business owners for day to day. And I was really hoping one of those platforms would actually had reformed some of those things and gone refined. It never did. They told me to pound sand and if I could build something better to do it on my own. And I literally took that as a challenge accepted. So
Yeah.
this is what we've got now. It is a global directory of venues and vendors. There's over 110,000 businesses already seated within the platform. This is meant to help discover your leads and manage your leads as they come in and feed them that steady diet of content, maybe some of the content that you might do by Chat GPT. I've actually even seeded in my own emails as part of this platform. I've seeded in base contract as part of the platform and the same thing as base timelines. So if you have never used a platform like this before, if you think that from a time constraint, you couldn't get something like this up literally within like 30 minutes, you could have everything starting to run and already starting to process your first lead within the system.
Yeah. Here's
And
templates here. I got automations. I got timelines.
yep,
Right. So here's a few to get people started. Kind of like ChatGPT. I'm not sure where to start. Here's
yep.
something to get
And it's,
started.
yeah. And actually, one of the things we're going to be adding soon is an actual wizard to actually step people through as they first get in so they have even a better understanding of how to use the platform and all of that. It is constantly evolving. We actually just added Stripe that will be in this code release. We also had PayPal, but we had a couple bugs in it where a couple people
Yeah.
could not connect. That is now going to be resolved. And again, and you actually mentioned this before, just briefly a couple minutes ago, where this is a platform where I want to hear the feedback of the users. I want to
Yeah.
make this platform better. I want to be able to improve on the experience for everybody, and not just DJs, not just photo booth operators, but venue owners and bridal dress people and confectioners and all these different sects within the industry as a whole, within the small events industry, and to just improve on their daily operations.
Here we go. I'm going to search for Talamore. Let's see if Talamore's, if I spell that right here. There we go. That's one of the
Yep.
places I work at, right? It's already in there. I haven't even used this
Yes.
platform to plan yet, right? Because I've got my stuff in one platform and I expect
Yep.
to queue. You've already got my venue in there. Or
Yep.
one of the venues I work
And
at.
that was one of the big things I wanted as me. One of the first big pain points that I had as just a business owner, as me as Paris Creative, my wedding DJ business, was getting all the venues and vendors that I work with each of these events and keeping up to date on their information. This is now a global directory on this. So as they come in and claim their business, or if they seed their business into queue, the
Mm-hmm.
next thing you know, I never have to worry about updating it again. If they change their name, they change a phone number, an email, they change the
Right.
people who are working at it. As long as they've claimed their business, this is now updated. So you never have to worry about doing that again.
Well, venue intelligence is so important. Like, so are you telling me, like, so if I update this now, that everybody else who uses this platform is going to see my updates? So we're all sharing
Correct.
information about these
Yeah.
venues?
Yeah.
Because
Venue
some
intelligence
venues,
is,
they have ramps, right, that are nice, but
oh,
then
yeah.
there's other venues that have stairs.
Yeah.
And I want to
Or
note that in here so the
gravel.
next guy who's about to book that place is aware of that.
Exactly. And that's like one of the biggest things. Like, if I happen to be operating outside my area and I've had a DJ who, your perfect example, one in Pennsylvania, who's been there before, they could have already seeded in this information. I know that I can't bring my trailer there. Let's say they don't have trailer parking. Or
Yeah.
let's say that, there's stairs. Well, now I know I can't bring,
Yeah.
my toad booth with me. So it gives me either more information to quote them properly, or
Hmm.
maybe even information like, I don't want to operate this. I don't want to go up 2 flights of stairs, or
Yeah.
I don't
That's
want to deal
me.
with something without, air conditioning, or they have a sound ordinance that would be very not good for my business type thing. So again, and we're going to be expanding on this. We're actually going to have Venue Intelligence 2.0
Oh, gosh.
most likely by mid-year. And we got a bunch of new things coming up with that.
And there's a whole like CRM system in here too. So leads come in,
Yep.
and you can have workflows, right? So
Yep. There's,
send them the email, if
yep.
the contract needs to be
Exactly.
signed, if a payment needs to be done.
Yep, all those, and they're already pre-built in there.
Hmm.
Our next iteration, we're actually literally just starting on this after this new launch on either tonight or tomorrow, where you'll be able to more granularly control that. Actually, have what I'm kind of calling smart lists right now, where you would have either an automation, or maybe it's just a manual check because I'm stocking up my stuff and I need to charge my batteries, or I
Yeah,
have to make sure that the trailer is available and whatnot. So much that's coming up this year. A multi-op piece we're hoping to launch, where we'll have inventory management, granular control over your employees, just a lot of different features that, again, hopefully enables businesses to basically not have to be in the system as long as they need to be.
that's awesome. Well, I can't wait to see the platform. I'm ready to dive in and get migrated over. And then, one of the things that I really liked about it is it's mobile friendly. So
Yes.
some of the other ones, it's hard for me to look at, and I have to go to a desktop to use
Yeah.
it. And a lot of my clients don't like using it because they can't use it whenever they're using their phone. Yours is very mobile friendly.
Yeah.
So
The very first core principle, literally rule number one in my business plan on this is, if it doesn't work on mobile, it doesn't go in. So
exactly.
we find a way to make sure that it works in a mobile environment.
That's cool. Lou, thank you so much for being on the show. I want
No
to,
problem. Thank you so much for the invite.
I hope to see you at PBX, MEX. We'll see. You'll let us know, right?
Absolutely.
Um, Dave, I guess we should probably give our plug. You're better at it than anybody
Well,
else.
listen, if you're out in that YouTube world or on Facebook or anywhere, there's this thing called Photo Booth Magazine, which if you just stumbled across this,
Never heard of it.
please stop by. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, a like, a share. We want to keep this going as long as we can, but we kind of need your help to kind of, throw us a bone here, like us and help us out here. Also on Facebook, like the videos, share the videos. If there's something with somebody, something that you see here. So Art goes through after all of our videos and, kind of tags things. Go to those, share those out. We want to help people grow their businesses. That's why Art and I are doing this. We don't, we're doing this. People think, oh, you're doing this making tons of money. No, we're doing this because we want to help the industry, kind of grow, and we want to see people do well. We don't want people to struggle like we did. If I can help one person expand their business, and all I want is to thank you. That's all.
Just come,
or even better, just pay it forward. Help somebody else out.
That's a huge mantra for me this year, is pay it forward. I did that today. I walked my neighbor's dog. He was he needed it so bad. But we have a lot of content on this site. We already had 16 shows on our belt. There's some blogs on here. We had Danny Max, Alan Berg, James Trivelis. I gave out all the Black Friday deals I could possibly. I personally scraped them, right? And then made a blog post for everybody so you could find it in one spot. How to rank on Google, right? We had Clay Moore from Photo Booth. There's so many. We had Rachel Lynch. We had the folks from Imaging Spectrum, Michael Walter. We had Rex. We had Rachel. I did one special one. We talked about props and how you can get a llama in the freaking booth. We had help from...
And that was a real llama, by the way. Just, in case anybody's wondering, it wasn't a guy in a suit.
That's a real llama. Actual llama. So we're doing this for you guys. We're not charging you for this content. It's absolutely free. We want you to have some fun. Give us some feedback. If you want us to cover a topic, we'll do our best to cover it. If you want to come on the show, we'd love to have you. Hopefully we can fit you in. Just like we've had Lou. So Lou, thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you again.
All right.
Thank you, Lou. We appreciate it.
So have a great week. I'm working on who's going to be on next week. I can't tell you yet because I want to make sure it's solidified, but it should be really fun. We'll see you next week, and in about a month we'll be in Vegas for PBX MX.
And we're going to be doing a live. We're going to be doing one of the lives from Vegas. We may even do a couple from Vegas. So, look out for.
I got a lav set. I got one of those lav sets that hooks into the phone so we can walk around the show and interview people.
Yep.
Oh,
I think that's. Look out for two crazy guys walking up to you saying, "Hey, what do you think?"
We're like twins. So, all right, guys, let's have a good one. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.